What's up, Grandmaster Igor Smirnov is here, and I'm extremely happy when I can provide you with opening variations that work, that win against most common, most popular moves played by your potential opponents, because then you statistically maximize your chances of winning. And today's the day. Today we're gonna crack the Caro-Kann Defense, one of the most stubborn defenses in chess. In fact, I haven't recorded too many videos about it, right for that reason, because there aren't too many early attacks or traps here, but I found one variation that is guaranteed to win against most popular moves of black. So there we go. After white goes pawn d4, pawn d5, usually white plays either pawn e5, the advanced variation, or knight to c3. These are the two main moves here that pretty much everybody plays. But we're gonna go sidewise into a so-called fantasy variation with the move pawn f3. And the initial purpose of this move is pretty simple. You just want to maintain your beautiful center. You have these two pawns in the center, an ideal pawn center. Your opponent tried to attack it, so you said, okay, I'm just defending it. And now, if black wants to challenge you somehow, they gotta attack your center, because if not, well, you simply enjoy your beautiful center and some space advantage. You will simply develop, if black plays any passive moves, you're gonna develop somehow, maybe like this, and castle queenside, or basically however you like. So the only way for black to really try to challenge you is the main line here. The main line of the fantasy variation occurs if black tries to attack your center right away. So they trade, and they play pawn e5. And that pawn e5 move not only attacks this pawn, but it also opens up for this early queen attack, queen h4, which can attack your king, attack this pawn on e4, and that's what black is hoping for. But of course, we are going to be alert, and we're going to stop this by playing knight to f3. No queen h4 is possible anymore, and here, what is the move that you think black players would play here? How do you think? Well, we're attacking this pawn twice, right? Therefore, what could be more natural than capturing this pawn? And that's what most players does. And believe it or not, it is a mistake, fairly big mistake, which really puts black in a terribly dangerous position here. It's not yet completely losing, but it's already extremely dangerous. Because after bishop c4, if you're just looking at this position, you can easily see why this gambit is so efficient for white. You have lots of your pieces out already. You have the f-file open, kind of like in the king's gambit. You've got the bishop eyeing this f7 pawn just as well. Your knight potentially is ready to join the party and to attack it, and black is completely passive. And that gives you lots of chances of winning against most of the common moves of black. Usually black goes something like knight f6, and it doesn't really matter. Your attack against this f7 pawn is going to be very strong in pretty much all the variations. Now with castle, our rook is going to play a crucial role in our future attack. And here in most cases black goes bishop c5, which is already a losing mistake. And again, it's just hard to criticize black for that, because unless black is really well prepared and analyze this line in advance, you would never realize that bishop c5 is a losing mistake. It looks like such a good move to be played. It sets it up for some potential discovered attack against your king with some d3 move in the future. It defends the pawn, prepares for black to castle on the next move. What more can you ask for from one move? And yet, it is a losing mistake, because it does not really do anything against your major threat. Knight g5, as we know, we're gonna pressure this pawn, and black's in trouble. The only normal way for black to defend it would be to castle, but that doesn't really help. We take the pawn anyway, because after this exchange on f7, there is a winning move here, which is really nice, by the way. It's the move queen to h5 check. Notice that we take advantage of the pin, therefore the knight cannot move. It has to cover the king. And our queen from here double attacks the king and the bishop. Therefore, when king goes back, let's say king goes to g8, we happily pick up the bishop. And as a result of this little tactical operation, we won the exchange. Now we have a rook against a knight. But that's not even the end of black troubles, because, black's king is still exposed. You can still attack it in the future. Maybe you can go bishop g5, put this unpleasant pin, along this diagonal. Maybe e5 is going to be played at some point. Your rook is extremely active along the f-file, so black is still in a big danger, and they are down material, so that is a completely winning variation, and it works against most common, most popular moves of black. Alright, what if black tries a more solid defense, or at least the one that looks more solid? Here in this position, we have analyzed that bishop c5 is going to be a losing mistake, because knight g5 just gives you a winning attack against this f7 pawn. What if instead black tries playing safe playing bishop to e7. It feels safer to keep pieces closer to black's king. But in fact, that doesn't change a thing. You still go knight g5 with all the same ideas of crushing this pawn, and after black castles, you kind of still utilize the same tactics, a slightly different one. You still trade here on f7, calling the king out, and after that, you don't even need to use these fancy tactics with queen h5, because now, from there, it's not going to attack the bishop on c5 any longer, but you can simply play pawn e5 now. And because of the pin, the knight can go, therefore you're going to win material and continue attacking black's king, and that is again completely winning just within a couple moves. Do you like the fantasy variation so far? I do. I haven't even thought that it's going to be that effective, but yeah, I'm going to try it out myself in these games. Alright, let's assume that your opponent is an advanced level opponent who is familiar with the theory of this line and who's going to play more advanced, more complicated moves. In that case, black won't take this pawn on d4, as we already know this natural looking move is actually already quite wrong. Instead, black will play the move bishop g4, which kind of maintains the pressure. Black still pins this pawn, potentially threatens this pawn, and kind of tries to also develop, not just grab pawns, but also develop. In that case, we're still going to play same moves, bishop c4, still eyeing this pawn on f7. At this point, there are also many ways for black to go around, which is nice. One of them is a very common move, knight f6. Alright, in this case, actually let this be a puzzle of the day. Let me ask you to think about this and write it down in the comments below. How would you play here? If you're playing white, it is white to move, obviously, and you're going to find the right solution. If you aren't sure about it, just go to the comments. I'm pretty sure that somebody will write the correct move there. Also, I always provide games which I present here in the description. Below the video, you can always find PGN with all the games and with the solution. Alright, let's go back. Now, instead of knight to f6, the correct move for black is knight to d7. Again, not easy to find for black, but let's assume that your opponent is so well prepared, keeps playing all the right moves. Then you play another evil move, pawn to c3. I'm saying that it is an evil move because at first it looks like you just want to protect your center. It's been attacked and you want to defend it. But that's not really the case because, well, partially that is true, but you also have a hidden threat here that your opponents are highly likely to overlook. If black goes knight f6, which, feels like black finally is going to develop their knight, this is actually wrong once again, because besides defending the pawn here in the center of the board, you also opened up for the move queen to b3. Notice that for absence of this pawn, your queen can jump now with a double attack to this pawn and to this pawn. The f7 pawn is still weak, still a problem for black. Potentially you can also jump with your knight over there and attack it just as well, and it's already quite clear that black's in trouble. In order to defend it, maybe they're going to play queen e7 to defend the pawn that way, but then you can simply grab this pawn, attack the rook, attack this pawn. You start, to collect the harvest, just to grab everything as much as you can, and you're just winning. You're 2 pawns up with a nice attacking position. If black tries pawn takes d4, trying to somehow counterattack, that doesn't work for many reasons, and one of them is that you can now go into this bishop f4 variation, which I love a lot. After bishop f4, we're attacking this rook. Black usually will capture over here, trying to at least get back some of the material that they lost, but now you've got a really nice combo. Queen to c8, check to the king. The only way to cover would be queen to d8, and now I'll give you a few seconds to find the solution yourself, and then I'll show it, because it's a really nice move, and you have really great chances to actually execute this move in a real practical game. The correct solution here is the beautiful move bishop takes f7, deflecting the king so that when it goes away, you can happily win the queen. And if the king tries to stay closer, that doesn't work because you can sacrifice the other bishop that you have, bishop d6, insisting on black's king to move away, and as it goes somewhere, you will finally grab the queen, and now you are up a queen, continue attacking black's king, life's cool. Is there anything else that black can play against you using this fantasy variation against the Caro-Kann defense? Yes, there is another line for black which is surprisingly popular, and I'm saying surprisingly because it's actually a pretty bad choice for black. Another line that black players pretty often use is they trade here on a4, and after that they attack in the middle of the board, but now with a pawn, but with the knight. They go knight f6, attacking this pawn. And I'm saying that it's a bad choice for black because actually you don't even need to defend it, you just push forward, kind of like in the other Heinz defense, but it is a much better version for white here. Now you attack the knight, as it goes away, you continue with pawn to c4, attacking the knight once again, and simultaneously you create this beautiful pawn center. Now the knight is pushed back, and as you develop now, you can just realize that you completely dominate. First of all, this knight is completely misplaced, it can't really move anywhere. If you look at this, can go here, it's going to be captured, can go here, it's going to be captured with a bishop, and now pawn controls this square, so the only square where the knight can go is to go here to d7 to this awkward square, therefore it's completely out of the game. While you build this nice pawn in the center of the board, which gives you space advantage, and strategically you're almost having a winning position already. If let's say black tries bishop to f5, trying to at least have one active piece in their game, you can trade it off with bishop d3, so that black keeps staying completely passive. And after that, you don't even need to remember any variation, you just develop and you have a much better game. So if you play knight f3, black let's say develops as well, you castle, black castles, and here basically you will maintain your advantage with any normal moves. You can just develop, let's say, play bishop f4, rook to d1, and you're completely dominating. Black has nothing to do. If you look at black, it's pretty hard to move around for black to move their pieces anyhow. Or if you wish, you can go for the direct checkmating attack against black. That works just as well. You can go knight e4, and after any move of black, let's say they develop, you go knight g5. You just brutally go for this simple checkmating attack, and black can't really stop it anyway. So they gotta play g6 to block out your queen, but then you relocate your queen to another square. From here we're ready to go over here and still deliver a checkmate. Let's say black picks up the pawn, we don't care about it that much because we're gonna checkmate black, queen h4, threatening queen takes h7 on the next move with the checkmate. The only move for black would be something like pawn h5, and then, I mean, Stockfish says you gotta play b3 first, or maybe simply g4, and you break through black's defense and you win. You wanna remove this pawn, because if it goes away, you deliver this checkmate. And if not, you're going to capture over there and have a winning attack anyway. Let's say pawn takes here, queen to h7 checkmate. Very simple attack and very hard for black to stop it anyway. If you'd like to level up your game overall beyond just one opening variation, I would recommend that you check out my free masterclass, which is more comprehensive over there. And also, if you haven't watched my recent video about Carlsen using our dirty trick to demolish another GM in 11 moves, you may click over here and check it out right now. Wish you all the best. Take care.